Good afternoon. My name's Chris. As Andy has said, I have been with Jet2.com, Jet2 Holidays, since 2008. So seen an awful lot of changes in that time. Jet2 Holidays, very small part of the business at that time, very much an extra kind of arm to our bums on seats onto the aircraft, doing 38,000 customers a year, and we've grown significantly since then. So yeah, we've worked together with Open Destinations since 2018. Started off with a trial period, which I'll go into in a bit more detail, and kind of the relationship has really gone from strength to strength. So yeah, looking forward to speaking to you about that today. And as Andy said, any questions, I'm happy to answer them as well. Go on to the next slide. So why did we consider outsourcing? Well, firstly, our CEO had a conversation, I think it was with yourself, Manuel. I know you know Steve from previous lives in other companies, and I think Manuel and Steve had a conversation just to see if there was any opportunities that we could look at, which would be beneficial to us both. So Manuel and Dev came to meet myself and our commercial director at the time. And it was really concentrating on data control, so very much the kind of hotel inventory management side of my areas, and to see if there's anything that we could leverage in terms of utilising some outsourcing. We had done outsourcing previously at Jet2. We'd outsourced our contact centres to India and then also to South Africa after that. And we had actually made the decision to bring our contact centres back. So our contact centres are UK based, and at the time, this was after we had already done that. So we hadn't kind of considered outsourcing really after that. So this was something completely new in terms of our back office functions. We had done customer facing outsourcing previously, and we did have some challenges there. So we kind of, that's why we brought our contact centers back. But when we had a conversation, we did kind of explore initially hotel stop sales as being a possible area that we could utilize some resource in India. And we talked about potentially doing a kind of a trial period. And when we spoke to Dev and Manuel about the different things that were undertaken in Goa, it did seem that there was alignments in kind of the way that we work, and also some of the work that was undertaken. And at the time, we also had some challenges around kind of colleague quality and staff retention for certain tasks. So particularly some of the kind of high volume data entry type tasks, which sometimes we did struggle to keep people kind of motivated and interested in those tasks. And also we kind of saw an opportunity potentially to push some of the volume data entry type tasks out to Goa and use some of the kind of the UK staff on other things. Also, you know, the cost benefit was attractive. So in terms of the team members who undertake the tasks that we do out in Goa, it's pretty much half of the cost to do it out there than it is to do it in the UK. So we started to think about a trial period. We also looked at another task initially, which was the logging of customer service complaints, and that was something actually that the team out in Goa hadn't done before. So that was something new. But when we kind of talked about the skill sets that are out there, we started to think, well, you know, it is primarily a data entry task. We did have some concerns as to the understanding necessarily of the package holiday market in terms of the categorization and that kind of thing. But we did think that was something which we could potentially look at. And then it was kind of an easy decision for me as well, because Manuel and Dev both talked to me about the fact that the office was in Panjim, and I was already a fan of Goa, having been there twice previously, and the opportunity to have a trip out there to have a look at the offices was quite attractive to me. So it seemed like a bit of a no-brainer for me to get out to Goa and see the operation. And I think that was really, really important to do. So myself and Dave, who's our data control manager, we went out to Goa for a few days to meet the teams, look at the tasks that are done out there, understand the ways of working and how the kind of governance around tasks and how quality is monitored and how productivity is monitored, and you know, the reporting and all of that. And obviously to meet the teams and meet the management teams as well, so we could have confidence that we could place our business out there. And as I say, I would just recommend that anybody thinking about that really does take that investment and goes out to India to see the teams. And we were really impressed with what we saw, and we decided we would kind of go on to a trial period. If we go on to the next slide, sorry. So some of the concerns that we did have prior to going out there was managing the team remotely and the time difference. That was a concern to us. I myself had never managed an outsourcing team previously, and we had some, as I said, some issues with kind of other outsourcing, which is why we brought it back. But that's why, and also we were trialing a task which hadn't been previously undertaken there. So what we decided to do was we actually moved some of the stop sales volume and about half of the customer service login volume to the team out in Goa. And we said we were going to trial that for a period of 6 months. So after we visited in January, we completed the contracts, we got everything set up, and we started to trial that from the April. Some of the concerns that we did have prior to the visit, as I said, were that we were going to trial the task which had never been undertaken, but we were given the confidence, having been there, that it was something which the team would get their teeth into, and we could, as long as we put the correct training materials together, and we invested the time as well by sending people to deliver the training, which we did. We did send people for a couple of weeks to actually do the training, which again was something which was really important, that the team would be able to meet these tasks. And when we talked about the error ratings we were expecting, the productivity that we were expecting, there was no concerns from the team out in Goa, and we were given that confidence. In terms of error ratings, that's something which is a potential significant financial risk to the business. So if we miss a stop sale, or if we do something wrong, then that can potentially have a large financial risk. So we decided we would keep the audits function of those tasks in the UK, so we could monitor the error ratings on a daily basis. The other concerns that we had was just the UK-based colleague reaction. Would people be worried about their jobs because we are moving tasks out there? But we did, the teams embraced it. We did, as I said, we moved kind of some of the volume out there initially, and it meant that we could concentrate some of the resource in the UK on different things. It wasn't necessarily around making sweeping redundancies. It was more around being able to use the people in the UK on different things. Let's move on to the next slide. So as I mentioned, we asked the team to undertake stop sales initially for data control and the logging of customer complaints. We did a trial period of 6 months, and then we monitored that all the way through. It's safe to say, we had really good communication with the team. Any kind of issues that we had, which we were always going to have some teething problems at first. They were really, the team worked with us really well and honestly out there, and we kind of ironed out any issues that we had. And we started to see some really good uptake in terms of the productivity that we were expecting was exceeded. The error ratings that we were expecting were significantly exceeded. So to give some kind of context on that, we expected an error rate on our stop sales of about 2%, so that 98% would basically be completed correctly, and 2% was kind of what we were expecting for the guys in the UK. Within not too longer time, it was down below 1%, and then we have been operating recently at kind of under 0.5% error rating. So that's just kind of one of the metrics that we use, but we were really, really impressed. After the initial trial period, we started to look at other things that we could do. So we made the resource permanent. And we started to look at whether we could add some additional tasks out there. So we added some additional data control tasks, so minimum stay and release period amendments, some web checks. We've also added some tasks for the overseas teams as well. And we're always looking at what more opportunities we can do out there. We've concentrated on purely kind of back office functions, and everything that we've implemented out there has worked really well. I think the way we've the way we've handled this is that we've very much seen the team as an extension of our team in the UK. We've managed them exactly the same as we would the team in the UK. We provide, daily feedback and reporting to the guys out there, because as we would with our own team leaders in the UK to manage the teams, we have weekly calls with them, or more often if it's needed. We have, until unfortunately the last couple of years, we've visited each year. So myself and a couple of the other managers have visited the teams, done some kind of reward and recognition stuff out there, just like we would with our own teams in the UK. And I think that has really helped to build the relationship, and they feel part of the team, and that really comes through. Yes, I think that's everything. Sorry, on that slide. So our experience, I think I've kind of touched on some of these things, but the benefits we've really seen on the tasks that we've implemented, improved productivity and improved error ratings. The cost benefits, as I mentioned, less than half the cost of the resource in the UK. Flexibility has been really key. So over the past year and a half, we have implemented some ad hoc tasks. So, for example, failed refunds was one that the contact centre had. Hundreds of these failed refunds, where refunds might fail, for example, due to an expired card or for other reasons, and helping to process that, and other tasks as well for the contact centre. And the guys have just been really, really flexible in learning new tasks. We would provide the training and the process documentation, and we'd work together and ultimately implement additional tasks at very short notice in some cases. We did have a need for some additional resource for stop sales during the summer. We've implemented some fixed term resource, and then we've since made that permanent because we can really see the value of that going forward. So now the entire stop sales process from end to end, including the audits, is now based in Goa, and that's really tantamount to how much of trust we have the guys out there, because we are trusting that they will not only complete the stop sale but also the sense check of that. And because we'd seen those error ratings so significantly better than we were expecting, we have that trust that that will be done, and that will be done correctly. We've always had a great relationship with the team. Everyone we've worked with, Dev and Manuel and Arif and the guys out in India, always been really flexible and tried to meet the demands of the business. Where we've had to recruit at short notice, the recruitment's been done really, really quickly, and the quality of the people who we've had working for us has always been great. And that's something which we also have found as a challenge in the UK. It's not always easy to get the good candidates in really quickly, and that's something which we've been able to just kind of flex the resource up as we've needed.